and welcome to Niaga Spotlight with me, Tamina Kausji. Niaga Spotlight goes through the week in economic analysis and future affairs. Well, this week on Analysis, we are taking a deep dive into the world of digital financial scams. Now, just a couple of numbers to set the agenda for what exactly we want to be discussing today. Now, in 2024, Malaysia faced a staggering more than 35,000 digital financial scams. This resulted in 1.6 billion ringgit in losses, a 33% increase from the previous year, 2023. Now, these scams range from fraudulent phone calls, scam messages, to fake investment schemes which promise high returns, evolving into a serious menace. Now, the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, has also been at the forefront of battling such content. In fact, in 2024, MCMC removed more than 63,000 pieces of fraudulent content from social media alone. So, there's clearly plenty to discuss and delve into some of the reasons why such digital financial scams still persist around Malaysia. I have the absolute pleasure of hosting today live in the studios with me, Muhammad Amirul Hafiz Rosly, who is the head with the Planning and Operations Division of MCMC. A very good morning. How are you doing, Amirul?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you so much for making time out of your busy schedule. This is such an urgent topic, and just the numbers themselves demonstrate how busy MCMC has been with this. So, Amirul, perhaps we can start off by talking about all the awareness efforts that MCMC, your team, and many other departments have been coordinating on. This has, of course, become very urgent. It's almost a daily need, right? This is not something which happens maybe once in a while anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, for MCMC, I think we are working closely with the PDRM in combating scams. So we are also getting in touch with the NFCC, National Anti-Financial Crime Center, in combating scam as well. So we are doing cross sectoral coordination with all the agencies that we are dealing with now. So in terms of combating scams, it is a multi-sectoral coordination that we need to do. And I think we are moving fast and enough with the current coordination.
Exactly. Now, I think the numbers of fraudulent content related to finance and scams, which MCMC removed from just social media, which is about 63,000 for 2024. This is also a tenfold increase from the previous year, 2023. So I don't feel that it is really that Malaysians are using more or less social media. Do you feel that it actually indicates there are more scams actually happening in the digital sphere? That's why the numbers have increased so much.
Yeah, I think it's not that Malaysians don't know. The truth is most do. So scams don't rely on ignorance. They are relying on emotions. I think in 2024, Malaysians lost over 1.6 billion ringgit across more than 35,000 scam cases. So many victims were working adults, retirees, and even professionals. When people are under pressure, they are financially and emotionally, they become easier to influence, and that's when scammers strike. They offer shortcuts, they offer quick profits, and take safety nets. So this is not just about awareness. It's about hope, stress, and sometimes even desperation. And the solution isn't just more posters. It's building emotional discipline alongside digital knowledge.
And what I'm really hearing over here is that there's actually a lot of psychological bias, mentioning the fact that professionals quite often fall victim to scams, and even retirees, meaning which in general they would also be from a literate background, but at the same time perhaps they have a cognitive bias. Maybe they are overconfident that they could not fall for scams, right? What do you feel that perhaps when it comes to desperation, because another factor is that sometimes victims are also desperate for making up quick wealth. So when it comes to quick wealth, what kind of trends has MCMC noted in the type of reports which you're actually been receiving from victims' scams?
Yeah, the biggest danger now is how real these scams feel. I think you have mentioned about a tenfold increase in scam-related content through AI. I think AI-generated videos and clone websites. And then now the new or recent red flags include deep fake videos.
That's right. We've actually seen a couple which actually were deep fake imitations of high-profile financial figures, right?
So there are also clone sites that look like real companies and ministries. And then there are also investment communities within WhatsApp or Telegram that builds trust within the group, and then they will strike after they gain the trust. What's worrying now is how normal these scams now look, because people will know that this is a scam if it is very clear-cut. But now it feels real. And then if the offer is private, urgent, or exclusive, we have to be extra cautious. That's how they reel you in.
Exactly. And I think on the legislative side, I'd just also like to quickly highlight that amendments were made quite recently in October 2024, actually, to Section 116D of the Criminal Procedure Code. So that actually means the police, for example, now have the authority to freeze and seize accounts linked to financial fraud. But once again, it still means that a lot of the responsibility for judging whether or not a financial investment is a scam or not, especially online, it really boils down to the consumer again, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So let's from there, Amirul, move into looking at new modes of digital finance. Cryptocurrency, blockchains as well, are also, of course, innovations, and they are really changing the financial landscape. But at the same time, they are frequently exploited in scams. MCMC's thoughts on this, now that we've had a little bit of time and experience to understand this very interesting landscape.
Crypto is a powerful tool, but like any other tools, it can be abused. In 2024, Malaysian banks recorded or even blocked over 399 million in fraud attempts. And then, and many involve crypto wallets and platforms. And because scammers love crypto because it's fast, often anonymous, and borderless. That's why MCMC, we are working closely with Bank Negara, the Securities Commission, and NFCC to trace transactions, monitor suspicious behavior, and strengthen our blockchain forensics. We welcome innovation, but it must come with checks and accountability and public education. Otherwise, technology can become a trap, not a solution.
Exactly, and I think when it comes to a really budding financial landscape like Malaysia's, where we've also had several new digital banks recently getting their licenses, it's about striking that kind of a balance. In MCMC's dealing with the industry stakeholders, how have you found them? Are they receptive and acknowledging the challenges, especially when it comes to crypto and blockchain and financial scams?
The platforms, the social media platforms, they have been very cooperative in combating scams, because scams is, I think, clear-cut offences. So we have reported more than, I think, thousands of requests coming or sent to the platform providers. So they have been cooperating quite well. I think for takedowns, we are okay. But then again, scammers, they would have their own way of doing things. So they will use proxies, they will use VPNs just to secure their tracks. So in terms of handling information based on the suspects, it's quite challenging for us, but we are moving quite fast with the assistance of the PDRM, the Bank Negara, and then the Securities Commission, and as well as NFCC, for us to track down scammers and be able to take actions against them.
Exactly. So I think, of course, with crypto, blockchain, there comes a lot of decentralization, but also then there comes a belief in a sense, the trust in tech magic and quick returns, when perhaps even cryptocurrency and blockchain are also concepts which quite widely many digital users do not completely understand. Do you think that more public awareness and education would be further able to enhance protection against crypto and blockchain scams?
Yeah, because scams don't attack what you know, they attack what you feel.
Sure. Very well said.
Yeah.
Not what you know, but what you feel.
Yeah. And a recent 2024 report showed that 74% of Malaysians encountered scams monthly. Monthly, on a monthly basis. And most victims didn't even report the case due to fear or embarrassment. People fall when they are emotionally off guard and lonely, they are rushed, they are stressed, and then they're excited. So that's why the traditional awareness is not enough anymore. We need simulation-based training, especially in schools, workplaces, or even for civil servants. At MCMC, we are upgrading our campaign Internet Selamat to focus on emotional readiness, not just digital literacy. And because scams don't wait for awareness, they strike at weakness.
They strike at weaknesses indeed, absolutely. You had mentioned briefly about investment scams. Let's dig a little bit deeper, Amirul. Now, these investment scams are also no longer like shady backdoor schemes. They now come with very sleek websites, WhatsApp groups, and even verified social media accounts, since now actually verification across socials can also be paid for. It does not necessarily depend upon verified public persona, right? So how should the public move forward in telling the difference anymore when it may seem on the surface, and even when you click on it, something completely legitimate?
Yep, scams today are sophisticated. They look real, they sound friendly, and they move fast. In 2024 alone, Malaysians received 2.98 million scam calls and over 5 million fraudulent SMS messages. And many scams use fake endorsements, high return packages, closed WhatsApp or Telegram groups, and verified looking ads in social media. So how do you tell the difference? Start with 3 checks.
Right.
One is too good to be true. Second is pressuring you to act now.
Right.
And third would be no verifiable business registration. So those 3 checks have to be done first. If any of those apply, I think you just have to walk away. And at MCMC, we are also urging Malaysians, we have to check first. Don't immediately trust people. You have to check always. Yeah.
And I'll pick up on that, Amirul, because social proof can be a double-edged sword, especially considering that it has been noted as a pattern. These days, social media influencers can also become either consciously or unconsciously roped in by such devious scams to become the front-facing public persona. MCMC's perspective on this growing issue?
We have our content code where we upgrading it to be able to also cater social media influencers, because they are responsible. If they are promoting scams, for example, they are also responsible for the illegal things, illegal acts, right?
Especially considering some of them may even have millions in followers, or a significant majority.
Yeah, so they have to have accountability over their social media platforms and their social media accounts, right? So when they are promoting certain services or certain products, they have to be sure that it is in line with the current existing legislation or even existing provisions of the Act. So they have to be responsible. I think this is the time for me to also advise the social media influencers to be able to just be caution on what they are promoting at. So, for example, when they are engaged to promote online gambling sites, for example, they have to be responsible. They have to know that it is illegal for you to promote them
in the first place at all.
Yeah, that's why. So they have to be accountable. If they are investigated based on the complaints that we have received, for example, so we will just maybe we will coordinate with the police to take action against them as well.
Exactly. And of course, this again ties back to something you'd mentioned a bit earlier, which is it sounds too good to be true. But using social media influencers as a sort of a buffer against that, it adds sort of a psychological safety. Especially because they may be trusted figures in other arenas. Thank you very much, Amirul, for the great conversation so far. Lots of insights, but we do take a short break. Do stay with us, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Niaga Spotlight. Welcome back to Niaga Spotlight, still with me, Tamina Kausji. And on today's episode, we're taking a very special focus looking in depth at digital financial scams. So Amirul, as we were mentioning earlier, I'd like to dig a lot deeper into looking at the lesser known red flags that Malaysians should be aware of. Now, you had earlier mentioned a very interesting 3-point SOP. from MCMC's side that I think in practice you've been able to find, should every Malaysian practice this digital SOP, probably the chances of being affected by scams is going to be highly reduced.
Yeah. I think it's best for them to apply these 3 checks lah. So too good to be true first, right? So,
too good to be true. Yeah.
Because in investment scam, for example, when you receive an SMS, for example, for you to download certain application, you just download the application, so and then you invest certain amount of money in the application. For example, when you invest 100 ringgit, so tomorrow it will be 1,000 ringgit.
Right.
So it's too good to be true. I think if a person is good enough to see that it's too good to be true, and then you should be able to be extra cautious of that.
Exactly.
And, then,
and now these are actually the type of digital financial scams which have quite often been covered not only in news media but also anecdotally. So quite often what happens, Amirul, is that with digital financial scams which promise high returns, the targeted victim may actually see a certain amount of profit, quote unquote, come into their account. So at the same time, let's focus on what could be some other red flags. Lack of clear contact channels is one. So is that something which has also come up in the reports that MCMC receives? So you may be receiving some monies in the bank account that you have given, but at the same time, is there some kind of a pattern observed for when that suddenly stops and people are then victimized and they lose everything?
Yes, I think for investment scams, when you have invested more than 1,000, more 10,000 ringgit,
right.
So when you want to withdraw the money, and then you have to pay again. So in order for you to withdraw your 10,000 ringgit, you have to pay 5,000 ringgit, for example.
Sort of like a penalty fee, quote unquote, to withdraw your own money.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So that's when I think for most victims, that's when they know that they have been scammed.
So, all right, so that's a huge red flag then.
Yeah.
And also, coming back to the point you made about excessive urgency masking deception. Now, this is something that we have actually seen covered quite thoroughly in news media, how in particular the elderly, especially retirees, so naturally they come from an educated and likely a professional background, they actually become victim to digital financial scams that are via phone call in particular. And they have become sophisticated to a really extreme end at this time in 2025. Are there any perhaps recent cases that really stood out to you and your team at MCMC?
Yeah, I just got a call from my friend today,
right.
that he is checking with me if MCMC has been calling people. There's one case, there's one incident where someone has called him and said to him that he's from MCMC.
Right.
And then
impersonation of a government agency, an official. Yep.
Yep. So the person impersonated MCMC officer to say that my friend is doing illegal activities using his phone number. So he is checking if my friend is doing that. So he said no, but then he said that you have to make a police report in Terengganu, for example, because he's now in Kedah. So they said that you have to be in Terengganu in 2 hours.
Okay.
For you to be
red
able.
Red flag one.
Yeah, because it's high agency for you to do that, because it's far. So if it is far, then he will say that, oh, even if it's far, you have to pay me, and then I will just close the case, for example. So that's when they are playing with our emotions. They give urgency to us, and then they say that, okay, I can help you with this. You have to pay me, and then I will close the case. That's how they play with urgency. So now people, especially elderly, for example, so they do not know, because for example, retirees, for example, they have quite a lot of money, but then again, they have less awareness. That's why in our campaigns we are also asking for the children to to give more awareness to the parents.
Adult children.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And that also brings about the intersection, which is then love scams, which actually target, in many cases, also elderly women. But at the same time, we have seen some recent cases where elderly men were also targeted by deepfaked images that perhaps could even be pretending to be a famous person. So when such intersections come into play, at the same time, the responsible government agencies, including MCMC, there is a lot of constant awareness that goes out via social media posts, informative illustrations. Where do you think the buck needs to stop, or how do we need to look at things maybe a little differently now that we are raising a lot of awareness, but at the same time the volume doesn't seem to be reducing? It seems to be that more people are aware that they have been scammed, and now they are reporting to MCMC.
Yeah, I think we have to change our mindset or our approach in managing this, because it is not about posters anymore. It's about how do you simulate crimes that are happening within the society. That's when I think that's why we are doing the training for in schools, in workplaces, and for civil servants. That's why we are also upgrading our campaign to include more practical approaches, or even to give more practical incidents, or even real life incidents for them to know that this is happening, and then they should be aware of it, and they should be ready to take this challenge.
Exactly. And quite often another arena is that there is an illusion of control which digital users have, because most Malaysians have great high-speed internet access. We avail of many digital financial tools, so that actually makes us a little more vulnerable, because then we may not actually be prepared. We may feel overconfident because we use digital financial tools every day, maybe several times a day. So combating that kind of overconfidence without scaring people and preventing them from using digital financial tools, what kind of help would MCMC need to make this a more successful project for all of Malaysian society?
I think we would advise all Malaysians to use only trusted platforms. If you are using financial tools, you have to be cautioned. You have to be careful of what you are downloading. For example, if someone just give you a link for you to download a certain application which is not even in Apple App Store, or even Google Play Store, even Huawei App Gallery, so it may be a bit fishy for you to download and install the application. Yes, we empower people to do certain financial transactions digitally, but then again, it must be done with accountability and responsibility. So you are responsible to your safety and security. That's why you have to protect yourselves from being exploited by scammers by downloading certain applications or even certain financial tools. You have to use trusted tools.
Trusted tools, but also double check and perhaps even triple check, right?
Yeah.
There are also some other tools which MCMC has actually been introducing when it comes to encouraging of digital financial awareness. There is a Semak Mule portal which has been established. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, Semak Mule is established by PDRM. We are also assisting them in promoting the platform for the users to use. In Semak Mule platform, they can check if a certain IC number or a certain bank account has been used by a scammer or a criminal. If you type in the bank account number, for example, they will check, and then they will give information that this account has 3 police reports, for example.
Right.
Yeah. So when we receive such information, we will be extra cautious. We will be more careful, because the bank account has been used by a criminal or even a scammer for us to transfer the account, the money to the accounts, for example. But there are also mule accounts. Mule accounts is where people's bank accounts has been used by scammers to receive certain amount of money. And then when they receive the money, they will transfer to the scammer. So mule accounts have been a challenge for us because it is not a scammer that is using the account. The scammer is exploiting. So it's a challenge for us to know the trace of the scammer. But then again, the Fairmont Mule platform would be a good platform for us to use to check if the bank accounts have been used by criminals or by scammers.
Exactly. So clearly there's plenty of available resources out there, but it's all up to having a constant sense of vigilance to keep ourselves safe from digital financial scams. Amirul, thank you so much for all the updates regarding digital financial scams, and we of course wish you and your team at MCMC the best in overcoming them.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, that's all we have time for today on Niaga Spotlight, featuring a focus on digital financial scams and what are some of the evolving methodologies and how digital consumers and users on a daily basis can keep themselves safer from financial fraud. We'll join you again next Friday with more economic analysis and insights. That's all we have time for today. See you again next Friday.